The crew of the Protostar get their Starfleet uniforms. Murph has the protocore in his belly, and Dal might have a new catchphrase: go fast. Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc, Lofton and Bonnie Gordon.
That's me. Hello.
In case you were wondering, that's her. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a review of Season 1, Episode 9 of Prodigy, already, A Moral Star Part 1, directed by Ben Hibben. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Got it.
Well, I mean, yes. I'm horrible at pronouncing everyone's names, so don't take my word for it.
How you guys doing? This was a fun one.
Man, how many I lost count how many times I got goosebumps during this one.
Really?
Yeah, just because, just there's so many amazing moments of like epicness of them, showing up with with the uniforms on, or, them all like working together, and, like the montage of them, coming up with plans. I don't know. It was just, they had so many moments of twists. And what I love about this episode in particular is that, it's the first time that they're all together and really represented as a crew. And it was written by the entire writer's room, which is like such a cool thing. Like, it was such a collaborative episode of all of them working together to create this master plan. And it was all created by the entire writer's room working together. So I think that's such a great parallel.
Yeah, I was trying to see who the writer was. And everywhere I looked, all the information I got, including the promotional stuff, just said the Season 1 writer's room. And so that's what it was. And they just, wow, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Isn't that great? I love that. I think it's such a fun, and it was such a great collaborative episode. So just like the parallels of them all writing it together really makes it that much more special.
All right, Cirroc, enough. Out with it. You were fooled when they had Murph hiding in Zero, right? In the fake Zero.
Yeah,
I was too. Fooled. I was totally fooled.
They had me fooled. Except that I did know that Murph had a big part of the plan, because they're like, "Okay, Murph, it's it's on you now," or something.
Time to play dress up. Yeah.
Yes. So we were waiting to try to figure it out. Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't sure what Murph's role was going to be, or how they were going to do that. So they did fool me. I'll have to say, I was watching it thinking that was Zero, and clearly it wasn't. So good job with that. I really love this. This first season has been awesome. The pace has been exceptional, in my opinion. Yeah. They have really developed the stories and the characters well on this show, and the pace of it is really just it keeps me glued to the screen. And it seems like they make these very grandiose left turns when I'm not expecting it, right? Like, I didn't know they were going to shoot off over to where they shot off, and then I didn't know they were going to come back and try to, rescue everybody on the mining colony. And seeing like that little kitten character again was kind of
my favorite. I know
I'm waiting for her to join the crew, man. I was like, it might happen.
Right? She's the cutest thing ever. And honestly, I know the Trek Twitter was pissed when they left her. And they're like, they better, hashtag save the cation, I think that was kind of the
Bonnie, I want to correct you. Trek Twitter has never been pissed. I've never seen any evidence of this about anything.
Yeah, right.
Well, they were peeved that the cation was not a part of the crew, that the cation was left behind in the mines.
Yeah,
that way.
And we were all, because that little cation is so innocent and young and looks very fragile, and to be left in a really hopeless, desolate place like that colony is like the worst scenario for that cation. But I just like the way the stories progress. Look, we've been watching the show now. This is the 9th episode of the first season, and they're just now putting on uniforms, which is great. This is great. They took their time. They developed their chemistry first. They found their roles. You're in the engineering. You're doing this. You're doing that. I believe now it seems like there's no real question that Dow's the captain, right? Because he's really
Good point.
stepping into that role. He's kind of grown into that. We've seen him mature.
He's stepping in and stepping up.
Yeah, he's stepping up, and he's learning from his lessons. It's like another reason I like the episode was because they brought up the Kobayashi Maru, and he was like, "This is our own Kobayashi Maru, right? We're in a lose-lose situation here." And I think it was great because it almost was like a callback to the other episode where he was trying to figure out the best way to make it happen, right? So you see that he has learned from that experience. And I like to see that he has learned, and I like to see that there has been growth in Dow, and that he is now kind of saying, okay, the responsibility of my crew's life is in my hand. There's decisions that I have to make that are going to affect people, and I realize the weight of that responsibility. So I really see a lot of growth in his character too.
I just want to point out really quickly, and I hadn't planned on doing this, but when you mentioned the uniforms and how they're growing into Starfleet, I just want to point out, for like the 50th time we've mentioned this, but the people that are creating new Star Trek are so great with the community. Check this conversation out from last night on Twitter. So you have Terry Matalas, who I believe is the showrunner of Star Trek Picard. He shows this picture. He says, Bridge Day. Mike McMahon, the showrunner of Lower Decks, by the way. We've had him on our show a couple of times. He says, yo, Terry, you got warp cores in this show? So now we've got the showrunners of two shows going back and forth. He says that like hyperdrive, nice Star Wars joke in there. Mike McMahon responds, it's like Stargate for Battlestars. Then our friend Aaron J. Waltke jumps in and he says, we have 2 warp cores on our show and a baby star. So now we got 3 shows kind of duking it out. Mike McMahon, and here's the point of this. Mike McMahon says, tell me when you have some Starfleet officers too. And Aaron gets an A+ for this response. We're working on it. And I'm like, that is the cutest thing ever. They're working on it. They're getting there. They'll be there soon. And they finally got their uniforms.
I know.
So everybody at home, follow those people. They're great people, and it's going to keep you smiling all day. But did you notice? I looked for it, and maybe I just missed it. Did you guys notice that there were no like colors for divisions on there? I was looking for maybe like a red stripe or a purple, and not purple, but like gold or blue.
Yeah, it's almost like they're in a ranking system of their own. They're all like, I'm not quite sure how it works. Maybe like with cadets, you don't get to decide what color you are yet or something if you haven't chosen
you're right.
career path.
I think when Nog was a cadet, he was just an all gray and there was not any kind of colored stripe.
That's what I think. So I think they were kind of, that might have not been the reason being, but I feel like maybe that's what they were trying to show, is that they're all dressed as actual cadets now, making them, believe what they have always said that they were, and now actually becoming what they said they were.
No, but when Nog was a cadet, he did have the red shoulders too.
He had the
That's
red
right.
on the
He
top,
did have the red. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just a protostar thing, man. USS Protostar.
Deal with it.
The colors are, obviously the colors are what you make of them. It's kind of like that, black and gold, blue and silver dress that you couldn't tell the colors of. That's exactly how their uniforms are. Some people are seeing colors and some aren't.
Black and yellow.
I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah, I did a little schematic of the uniforms. Everything.
Oh,
cool.
Hang on,
nice.
hold it up. There we go. People need that. They're going to be designing that right away.
Yeah, I thought the uniforms were cool. I really liked them. I like the fact that they all got on the same page and decided to wear their uniforms and say, "Hey, let's do this," as a crew together as a team. Also a great moment with Janeway when she's like, "Oh, I feel underdressed,"
Yeah.
and she
She
puts on,
changed.
she puts on, yeah. They seemed like the tuxedo type uniforms to me. They had that like dress up feel.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
So I did like them. I don't know what the occasion was or why specifically those. I also like the fact that they're withholding a backstory from us about the diviner's intent and use for the protostar, whatever happened in the past. I like there it is. I like the withhold of that information and kind of us, finding
Yeah.
out little by little what's going on, what's happening. There's this mystery there.
Well, and I feel like in every good story, with when you create a villain that is truly, I feel like, let me backtrack. I feel like every great villain in any good storytelling doesn't think that what they're doing is wrong. And I feel like
Right.
that's what they're doing kind of with the diviner. Obviously, there's a purpose to why he's looking for the protostar, why he's doing what he's doing. He even says, directly to Gwen, like, the reason I chose the ship over you because I was blinded by my duty. So obviously there's something that we don't know that, has to do with his past that is making him think that everything that he's done up until now is the right thing to do. And he's done no wrong. He's not the bad guy in this scenario. And again, that's how you create the best villains always, is when they don't think what they're doing is wrong. They're, they're
Right.
by doing bad things, it's for the greater good in a way, which is
They say every antagonist is a protagonist in their mind, because otherwise,
there you go.
the key word you used, I think initially, was when you said good. Every good villain, because otherwise they're not going to be a good villain if they don't have their own real and true point of view that we just happen to think makes them a horrible person. But in their mind, they're like, well, no, I'm just going to wipe out this race. Who cares? It's because I'm doing this because I want $5 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
No, because I'm trying to save this flower. Yeah, whatever it is. Like there's a reason that justifies, and that's how we rationalize our behavior. All of us, whenever we do things, we try to find. Oh, well, I had to do it because I was late. I had to speed. I was, late for work, or it was an emergency.
Well, we're not villains, but
we're not villains, but we
pretty
rationalize our behavior as best as we can. And I feel bad for Gwen in this situation. As I watch this show, I feel like each one of the characters has their own trauma and their own origin, so that leads to their trauma. Obviously, being a prisoner in a camp is no fun, and Gwen didn't have that kind of prisoner experience. She kind of set up. Right, she sat up top in the on the throne over there, kind of looking down on those prisoners. But what I do feel when I watch her character, and I feel for her, is that she is being emotionally used and tugged by her father in this kind of a way. Because there's part of her that wants to just like disown him and say, he's bad for me and he only has bad intentions for me and he's misleading me and he's lying to me. And then there's the part of her that says, this is my dad. He's raised me, he's taught me a lot of things. Maybe he does want the best for me. So those kinds of things are really the polarity that I see tugging at her. And I feel for her emotionally having to go through that.
She's being manipulated, in the most obvious way. It's sad, but again, there's things that the diviner says where there's there's moments where he actually does show affection and obviously cares about her, more so than he has shown in the beginning, and it just it makes you see a little bit of a different side of him when he lets some of that come through and show. And I think that's what is making her so confused as well. It's like, it's like getting that little nugget of affection or a little nugget of attention or love of, oh, he does care for me. That like, it's that tug of war, that pull and tug, pull and push thing of like, he's bad, he's good, he's bad, he's good.
That sounds like an abusive relationship.
That's what I'm saying. It's very manipulative and
totally.
abusive. Yeah.
And as you were saying that, Ryan, how much does this remind you of Gul Dukat?
I knew you didn't even
Yeah.
have to say it. I was already there with you. I was like, I know where he's going. Even when we were
Right?
saying a villain that is the hero in their own mind, we were thinking Gul Dukat because he is just such a well done main villain type. I mean, he's the apex villain, and it's great when somebody's being compared to Gul Dukat, you're doing something right?
Right.
Yes. And that's where he reminds me of Gul Dukat, because he has this kind of affection for his daughter, but he does it in such an abusive way that it's like, is it good for her or is it bad for her? I think this is, it's not good for her to have this kind of relationship with him. And he does have kind of these maniacal, evil intentions when you really parse him all the way out.
I feel like the real evil entity in all of this is Dreadnought, because obviously Dreadnought could care less about, anything about Gwen, about, obviously he's doing the diviner's bidding, but I think if it was his decision, he would have just wiped Gwen off and taken her out of the picture from the beginning.
See, I think you need to go easy on Dreadnought here, because I'm like, this poor guy is just doing the guy for all I know, he's been manipulated or he's been created. And he is, maybe he's a slave, maybe he's programmed, maybe he's controlled. I don't know. All I know is that the diviner is the guy with the master plan, and Dreadnought is doing his bidding. But yeah, we haven't seen much depth in Dreadnought to know how he justifies any of this, or even if he has free will to justify it. I think we've certainly seen that he does have a mean streak to him, and he's definitely careless towards other beings.
He's like the torturer, like the executioner, he's like the right-hand man, Yes, I guess you could say he's programmed that way, but I mean,
I don't know.
From what it sounds like, it feels like he has, I wouldn't say free will, but it feels like he makes his own decisions in a way, but he also follows orders. And, he's going to, in previous episodes, he's going to shoot Gwen. And then he's like, well, the diviner wants you alive. So I'm just gonna, break your leg, or whatever. I'm going to knock your leg out. So yeah, like I think he's just pure evil.
Ooh.
Anything with glowing red eyes, that's never good. That's never a good sign, I just feel like lasers coming out of the eyes, never a good sign.
Sometimes my kitty has red eyes when I shine a light on it. What were you saying, Cirroc?
It almost seems like they're setting up somewhere later on down the road an actual fallout between Dreadnought and the diviner. And yes, I'm going to have to agree with you, Bonnie, that I do feel like Dreadnought character is slightly more evil or careless about life than the diviner. Seems like the diviner is like, well, if you can find a way to bring him in alive, Dreadnought's like, problem solved. I killed it. It's over.
Yeah, like I fixed it. It's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So if my life was in somebody's hands, then I'd prefer the diviner than Dreadnought, because Dreadnought is not listening to any kind of argument. There's no way you can appeal to Dreadnought's, lighter side or humanity or.
Yeah, you can't cut jokes with him at a bar, and hope that you lighten the mood. It's not going to happen.
Dreadnought
I don't think he's going
to. Is a cutie, and you guys know it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously we found the Dreadnought
out of us
sympathizer in the room. Exactly.
Well, you know what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
No, go ahead. I would real quick. I was just going to say about Zero, because it's been bugging me this whole time, and I'm just trying to throw it out there. Does Zero have retractable legs?
Yes.
Okay. And I couldn't remember if we had seen that or what the situation was, but clearly they were showing that Zero has retractable legs. They weren't there, and they weren't there when Murph was cosplaying Zero or whatever.
Cosplaying.
But
We
anyway,
have our first Prodigy cosplay.
I
Good
know.
job, Murph.
There
Yeah.
it is.
That's what people can do, like at a convention, is if they need like a cosplay bag, they can just have a legless Zero as their, bag. But
Yeah, and then you open it up and it's a plushy Murph. Look.
Mhm.
There you go.
Oh.
There you go.
But what were you saying, Cirroc?
The lessons that this show teaches to kids, I think, is another one that I think it's not hit in like over the head in your face, like, hey kids, stay in school and read books. It's not like, it's not said in that kind of a way. It's actually explained in a lot more of showing by example, or it's explained in a lot different way. And I like the way that they do that, because I think kids can get a lot of life lessons watching this show. And one of them was, for example, when Jenkum says to Gwen, are you ready to face your pops? And Gwen says, there's no turning back now. I know it's a small thing, but it's just like a life lesson about facing your fears and not running from things that you're afraid of, and actually confronting those things and dealing with them. I think that Dal also showed that kind of confrontational dealing with things, like, okay, this is what we have to do, like we're gonna do this impossible mission, but if we're going to do it, then we at least have a plan and be strategic about it and be on the same page. Like, to me,
and do
that
it
shows
together. It wasn't like him taking over and being like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. He's like, we need to work together. And it just shows how much they've learned about each other's strengths. Like they all came together, just like in the, the Time Amok episode, where they have to all kind of work together and pass on the information along. This is them all collaboratively coming up with a master plan. And it, with the way that it played out, and again, these were so long ago, and I think this is around the time when I was not doing Scratch anymore, where they actually had the actors coming in and able to record their own lines. So I didn't get to, read this episode fully. And so watching this episode there was surprises for me too. And I forgot how some of the stuff happened. And I got so excited where I was like, wow, they really came up with a plan and like thought of what ifs and thought ahead, and worst case scenario, they already had it planned. I loved that they really showed how clever those kids are.
And the whole tricky moment where they're pretending to be panicked about floating around, and then they're like, okay, obviously why would anybody be scared of this? We're just hanging on. Let's reel each other back in. That was kind of fun too, because I did kind of, when that was happening, I was like, boy, they're really freaking out hard. And then we find out, because they're just letting
like,
us
yeah. Like putting on an act. Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, that was Jankum that went nuts with it. That one of us is going to have to develop a Jankum Pog impression, because I was about to try to say one of his lines, but I was like, I don't have confidence.
Jankum Pog.
All right, okay, I think so. Cirroc, can we hear yours?
That was good enough for me. I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, let's just do that so we don't embarrass ourselves.
But I did want to say that I thought Janeway gave the best speech in this episode. And that was the moment when she tells the crew, she's like, I know you never thought you were Starfleet material, but today you're risking everything on a seemingly impossible mission to save others, to bring hope to a hopeless cause. And to me, that was like, that's why we watch Star Trek.
Yeah,
those are the moments, right? To bring hope to hopeless causes, and to risk ourselves to save others. I think that's what makes Star Trek special, and I think they're also teaching that lesson to the kids. And when they watch this show, that's important for us to know, that you have to be selfless, you have to be willing to risk other, you have to be willing to do the right thing, even
Absolutely.
if it's risking your own life, and they're teaching those kinds of lessons on this show, which is why I'm very pleased to watch it. Very happy with the progress of the show, and I think the storylines are interesting.
Yeah, they've done such a good job. And, we say it every episode, like kudos to the writer's room, but literally kudos to the writer's room, the full room for this episode, because I feel like it's Star Trek storytelling at its best. And, the fact that it ends on such a cliffhanger, it's like, oh no, come on. Everyone's dying to see what happens next week. So,
and
that's the whole point.
And also what we got from Janeway was we got Janeway cosplaying Dark Janeway. And
it's
she
like
got
mirror
dark.
It's like mirror hologram. Yeah.
Right. And she didn't have to put on a goatee. So what I want to see is people at conventions that, sometimes people cosplay Janeway. Imagine if they're cosplaying dark, evil, hologram Janeway. That would look really cool. Because I noticed like she was like paler. She had like darkness under her eyes, obviously
her hair was a little darker.
Yeah, the delivery of her speech was slower and lower and a little bit more sinister, so that was fun. Well performed by her and well shown by the artists.
Definitely.
Yeah, there was a wrinkle in her brow, like a kind of her eyes were more sinister looking.
Yeah.
She had dirt in her fingernails. There were all kind of things.
She had dirt in her fingernails? I didn't notice that. Really?
No, I'm joking.
I was like, wow, that is an interesting detail for a hologram.
Wow, what
Give her a scar.
a coffee stain on her thigh from
sweat-soaked shirt.
Oh my
stinky
god.
feet.
A Viking coffee mug, like a real big, like.
Ooh. Yeah. That's what I want. I do love the little moment where it was Janeway, Gwen, and Rock Talk all drinking coffee and clinking their mugs together. Mm-hmm. That was such a cute moment, and it almost gave me like mother, big sister, little sister vibes of, here's three. I mean, obviously Janeway's a hologram, but it's like 3 generations of 3, age levels of women all working together, making something happen. And I just love that Rock Talk is drinking coffee like this little 8-year-old alien child, and she had a pretty big mug. So I'm eager to see how much caffeine it takes to get Rock Talk on edge.
I swear I really want to see them keep at least one of the unwanted, because they've done such a good job of making those aliens all look like different and interesting and clearly have a story of their own. And so I would love to have them explore some of those more so than just, okay, we grabbed all these guys and we dropped them off on a planet, which clearly happens often and it's fine when they do. But they've put so much detail into all of the differences of these aliens that it makes us go, "Ooh, who's that? What's that?" Kind of like Star Wars and the Cantina bar, right? Or the Cantina. The Cantina bar would be redundant, but people would see that and they'd be like, "What's that? What's that?" And we want to know more about these different aliens. Obviously, number one is the cute little kitty. But I would be happy with any of them. I want to see more about any of those guys.
And now that the Protostar crew are wearing comm badges, which obviously act as universal translators, they're going to be able to communicate with the unwanted.
Good point.
And that'll be the first time they'll all be able to communicate with each other, since living on this mining planet. So it's just so I'm eager to see them actually being able to interact and getting to know each other and actually forming some kind of alliance of any kind, or, finally getting the chance to communicate with the people that they've been working alongside.
Right. That's a good
Lord
point.
knows how long.
Because what happened when we finally got to hear what Rock Talk was saying is we found out she was completely different than what we expected. And it'd be really interesting to hear all their stories. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, I just think that, when you watch a show and you know what's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you're still entertained, that's when I believe it's a good story. I mean, it could be a documentary. I mean, a documentary or a movie about a biography about somebody you already know. You know, at the end they're going to die. You know all the music that they produced, or whatever it is that you have more knowledge about what's going to occur, and you just watch it. And you're still entertained. That to me is when something's really hitting on all cylinders. And in this episode, kind of, I feel like I know what's going to happen in the part two. I don't know how it's going to happen.
Mm.
Right? I don't know how it's going to
see.
happen. I know that Janeway and their ship, they need the star, they need the protostar before they can, do anything. So they can't do the jump without it. So I know they're coming back, and I know that Dal's planning on saving a bunch of people on that colony, if not everybody. So it's like I know these things are about to happen, but I want to see how and in what way, and I'm excited about them. Yeah, like how are they going to make it? How are they going to switch ships? How are they? What's going to happen to the planet? Is going to be destroyed. So a lot of these questions in my head, like, is that Cation coming along for the ride? It's got to be, So
everybody needs a cat. I feel like Gwen is a cat lady in the making.
Oh, she is a cat lady.
Yeah.
She wants 50 of them. But I do want to point out to Cirroc's point that you almost always know what's going to happen in a movie or a TV show. Obviously, there are twists and turns along the way that we don't know, but especially, as writers, you look and you know where they're going, you know what's going to happen, the rom-com, they're going to end up together. Okay. So knowing what's going to happen, that's never to any fault of a writer. In fact, if you guess correctly, then the writer did their job of creating the right thing that works in that genre. But the key is always execution. We know they're going to end up from point A to point B. We know that's going to happen. But how do they do it? How creatively do they get you from point A to point B? And so far, through 9 episodes, we're skeptical about episode 10. But so far in the first 9, their execution has been fantastic, right? They're taking us there. It's very believable. Every step of the way is not predictable. They give you a twist, they give you a turn. There's a very clear theme emerging, and it's fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I like the way they explain things. They use a very good pace. Like I said, they're not trying to cram too much information down the viewer's throat. Where it's
Thank
like,
goodness.
I don't get it. I don't get it. What's going on?
Yeah.
Was he there? Is he there? What do you mean? I don't get the science of this. This is too complex for me.
But they also don't dumb it down, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. It's just that good, perfect balance of dealing with emotions, of mixing in adventure, and also adhering to the principles of Star Trek of exploring and bravery and heroism. So I just think that out of the gate, this show has really set a great tone. It's established who the characters are early, where I can identify them all. I feel a connection with them. I feel that they have a connection with each other. And they are really starting off on an amazing foot on this show. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be the final episode of the season.
Of this first half of the season, until the end of this year, they'll release another 10 episodes in theory.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And I think we've gotten a long way because, at first I was skeptical about the Diviner and how they were going to be able to keep that storyline in a ship that was flying across the galaxies. But they have done a really good job of keeping all of those kind of balls in the air as they're juggling the story out.
Right. Speaking of juggling, we are about to hop over to the free-for-all in just a second here, everybody.
Excellent. Yay.
That is probably top 4 worst segues I've had. So, but I'll keep working for the number 1 spot. We do want to give a very special thanks right now to Carmen, a.k.a. Skillet, TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arucan, Yvette Blackmon, Tom, Homer Freezy out somewhere in New Yeezy, Eve, England out in Wales, Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, Mr. Titus Mohler, Tim Baum, aka Grandpa One, Darlena Marie, John Mann, Rex A. Wood, Dr. Muhammad Noor, Joe Balsarati, Tierney C. Diekman, Ed Maurer, Anil Palat, Anil K. Chander, no relation,
Anil.
Thomas Collings, Lawrence Niels. I just like it when you said Anil, like doctor, Isaac Stock, Ed Jarrett, and especially our friend, Dr. Susan V. Gruner.
Susan Gruner.
So stick around for the free-for-all, everybody. We'll be right back on the 7th Rule.
I believe you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the 7th Rule with Cirroc, Lofton, and Bonnie Gordon.
Hello.
This is it. We are reviewing Prodigy episode 9 of season 1, entitled, wait a minute, let me pull it up real quick, entitled
A Moral Star.
Thank you. Part 1.
Part 1.
Part 1 to be continued, my darlings.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and I'm going to edit that 4-second pause out. We are joined by Dr. Muhammad Noor, Malissa Longo, TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, Homer Freezy out, you guessed it, somewhere in New Yeezy, and Dr. Marie Segal.
Hi.
Woo. It's a fun one, right?
What a group.
It's so good. It's so good.
I thought there was more.
It's good.
I don't know what else. It had like major, like Voyager season 2 to 3 had a really great cliffhanger. The basic, just basic.
Yes.
Sorry, there's no where like the crew except for Tom Paris is left on the planet, and then somebody takes their ship, and it had like
that was like at the end of the season,
amazing.
right?
Yes, it was a 2 to 3. Yes, with
so you had to wait.
Him.
You had to wait months to see what happened.
And this had like total vibes of that amazing twist and like coolness going on. And yeah, we only have to wait a week. I mean, a long week, but just a week.
Wasn't it Aaron Walke, I think it was, who tweeted something like, "This is what we had to do for Best of Both Worlds Part 1," and he showed this picture of the TNG screen with "To Be Continued." Remember that summer? That was a long summer.
Was
like,
so long.
And it wasn't just that on the screen. The music like was just driving home the point that dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
And it just kept going like with this black screen.
Yeah.
So can we point out very quickly that our good friend Homer Freezy out somewhere in New Yeezy has just recently been a part of this show for 100 weeks. So thank you, Homer.
Does he get a prize?
Yeah, we're clapping. Yeah.
Yay!
There you go.
Thanks for giving me a hand.
No, but we really appreciate you, Homer. It's really cool, and great background, great beanie. What did you think of this episode, by the way?
It was a lot of fun, and we got some character development, especially between, now I don't have the names down perfectly, but Gwen and is it Dahl?
Yeah.
And he said this thing like it doesn't open up to people, and then it's like he couldn't do this thing like he would do ordinarily. He wouldn't just go back and get them because he was worried about putting her and the rest of the crew, oh by the way, in danger. And so that was nice the way they slipped that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, Gwen was super badass the way that she speared that eyeball. Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Can we just point out how unbelievable the artistry was on the close-up of Gwen's eyeballs? Speaking of which, I was like, how much time did they spend it was unbelievable. It looked like an optometrist. It was like you were seeing little veins and little discrepancies in her eyes. Really amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like they do such a good job with little nuances like that. And I love the emotion they can convey just non-verbally. Well, like as she's saying goodbye to all of them, like touching Rock Talk's face and like just having little moments with each character. There's so much that doesn't have to be said, and it's nice. The animation is so smart.
That moment
Sorry.
when she's touching her chin, you hear that sound of rock a little bit.
Mhm.
This
Like a
flinty
whimper
sound. I thought that was a
almost.
nice
Yeah.
touch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed that. That's really interesting, huh?
Mhm.
It's pretty good.
And showing the hug with Dal, like where she hugs him and then he's,
Yeah.
panics and then hugs her back. It's just like little moments like that really make me appreciate the animation that much more because it just shows so much without words. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anne Marie is the ship champ of this group. Are you shipping them?
Yes, I love that ship so much. I'm also shipping me and Jacob Pog or whatever his name is.
Jacob Pog.
Jacob Pog.
You don't even know his name.
Dr. Anne Marie Pog.
Right, me.
That sounds just about right. That's how it works. Like I don't even know his name, but he's perfect.
And it's just so cute when my doll says "go fast." It's so adorable. And then I also am like super into Janeway's like evil Janeway look. She looks so stylish.
Yeah.
I would wear this outfit out. She looked
The
great.
color one, that was great.
Yeah.
I would love to see actual Kate Mulgrew cosplay that.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Well, Melissa, what are your thoughts on this fun and fast-paced episode?
I have to say,
Uh-oh, here it comes.
I love this show. I love this show so much. I'm watching moving art. There's these moments where I'm just like, oh my gosh, this color is so rich. It's so beautiful. And the details in it are it's stunning. It's stunning to watch. And not only that, not only is it stunning to watch, it's also an enjoyable story to watch. And I am so connected to every character in this show. And I find myself wanting more after it's over. I'm like, wait, we're not done yet. You can't be over yet. Yeah. And I'm loving the relationships. I love seeing how Dal's wisdom has grown and him preventing himself from jumping to a harebrained plan, which he would have done in the beginning, but not so much now because he knows what's at stake. And that's amazing. And the reveal of oh my gosh, I just had a brain fart. And the reveal of
it happens.
Murph
in the thing.
I speak you. I understand what you're trying to say.
Yay.
Tell me with your mind, like Zero.
Murph. But I was, I was guessing. I was like, oh, so where is the proto drive? The thing that they stole, and I was like, is it in the com badge? But no, Murph is indestructible, so it's Murph. How brilliant is that?
I know, right?
It's brilliant.
A baby star.
A baby star, yes.
Melissa, you're invested in all the characters. Who's your favorite?
I don't know that I have a favorite.
The computer.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. Survey says
the computer. The protostar itself. Can we end scene?
Yeah, I don't know that I have a favorite. Right
Dreadnought?
now. I mean, he's pretty cool. He's pretty awesome. As a baddie, he's kind of complex, and I want to know what the beef is between him and the Federation. That there's definitely some backstory there, and I'm like, ooh, what is it?
And
what's
fashion
the scandal?
This could be the little cat man.
Yeah, Catmandu.
Yeah, I hope they don't make the little kitty bad. But anyway, but right now I think it's between Rock Talk, Gwen, and Murph. But it's just.
What's your favorite Murph line? Yeah, very good.
That was
excellent.
Good.
Yeah,
that was good.
Excellent.
Good knowledge.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's see. You guys all got thrown around here. Muhammad. Sometimes the things change, and I go, "Oh wait, who was I on?" Muhammad, how are you? How do you enjoy the show?
I love the episode. Oh my gosh, it was really fun watching it, and then watching it again, knowing how it ends, and then seeing all the little bits, like, oh yeah, they did reference that. Oh, yeah. And I love that. And actually, there are two things I thought one was a revelation, and one was kind of a build, which is something that I like for the show. In general, I like the show. Even though it's fairly episodic, it does have elements to pick up. So like Murph's indestructibility seemed kind of arbitrary before, but here it was absolutely plot critical. Yeah. So that was really nice in terms of a build. I like that. Little random thing I thought was funny. Do we ever know before that Dahl had prehensile hair? Like could like hold things with his hair? I don't remember noticing that before. I was like, wait, what?
Thank you for telling us what prehensile means so that we didn't have to ask. Okay, so
like a prehensile tail.
I didn't know that it could hold. No, we knew that it looks very like worrisome. Like I always feel like it's going to get cut or harmed. But
I always want to go.
It could hold stuff now. Yeah.
Well, it's very much like a rat's tail that a Jedi would have, and and you just want to go, like get it off.
It's skin though.
The fact that it actually moves and can hold things is both cool and disturbing in my mind. Because I'm like, if my hair started like grabbing things, I mean, I feel like it does sometimes. It just gets stuck randomly. So sometimes I am carrying things with me without realizing it. Like, oh, here's that pin I was looking for, in this like rat's nest behind my head. But yeah, I feel like the fact that he can control it is kind of cool, but also weird.
It's kind of like an elephant's trunk in that.
Yeah,
right,
a little bit.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Or like a monkey's tail.
Their tails. Yeah, exactly. Monkeys that can hang from their tails. Those are the prehensile
I don't think
tails.
it's that strong. I don't think you'd be able to hang from it, but I definitely, you could definitely hang like a coat on it or something if it was lifted up. Just be like, here you go. Kind of like what my sisters used to do to me with my headgear. They just would like hang their hangers on my headgear. So that's what I feel like you could do.
Muhammad, being the evolutionary biologist that you are, on this planet, if somebody had a prehensile head tail appendage, would they would definitely need muscle in there, very thin, long muscles. But wouldn't they also need bone structure?
You need something to make it a little stiff. I mean, yes and no. You could make it work. It'd be easier if you have something to make it stiff, but you could make it work without it. I mean, it depends on how heavy a thing you need to hold. I mean, if it's like Bonnie was saying, if it's just holding like nothing heavier than a light jacket or something, maybe not.
Light jacket. Are we just gonna start hanging their clothes on the hair? Like this is what I've done. This is what I've done. No, it's like a rat's tail, like a literal rat's tail, right? Because I don't think rats have vertebrae in their tail. I could be wrong.
You're right.
Yeah, so it'd be like a rat's tail where it can still move and like the rat can control it, and maybe he uses it for balance. Maybe like he's like, well, let me move my hair this way to move my head to this side. I don't know how it works. I'm not a scientist.
And then you always think about different species, like they have different things that they find attractive, like birds, they show off their feathers. I wonder if this is like a thing where they're like, hey, how, they're like whipping it around. Like,
good point. That's a great
the color and length of this thing. Boy, and look
at it. Sex specific where only the boys have it.
Yes,
yeah.
I bet that's true. That's my headcanon.
This took a turn.
That's what he says too. He said, this is my headcanon.
So it's like it's not the size of the rat's tail, it's how you swing it,
Is this a family show?
It is now.
Just meant because like birds and stuff and sometimes spiders, Muhammad knows.
Like a peacock.
Yeah.
Fruit flies have their little dance too. We talked about that.
Oh yeah.
Pufferfish make art.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
On the bottom of a seashore. floor.
Oh, right,
Ocean
right.
floor.
Y'all should see my
right.
mating dance. It's intense. It's like a lot of this, a lot of shopping cart, a lot of, it's like showing my domestic duties, like a I can water the plants, I can do the groceries, like that's
I clean
what
up
I'm trying
after
to show
myself.
people. Exactly. Yeah. I do that. I mow the lawn with the mower, yeah. Mowing the lawn, watering the plants. It's like, yeah, you want to date this green thumb, huh? No, anybody? Okay.
That's pretty good though. Yeah.
Thank you. You should see me on the dance floor. Yeah. Or not. Well, we'll cut that out, right? You're just gonna cut that my dance breakout.
Yeah,
I don't think we can.
Okay.
We're already cutting out my 3 or 4
I think you can
second
only
pause.
like magnify or spotlight, right?
Bonnie's mating dance. Here we go. Finally, my time has come
To get its own separate clip.
Did anybody here successfully predict where Murph was? Because we knew Murph was going to do something.
I thought they
didn't know.
forgot
No, I
about
thought
it.
he was hiding in the ship
did
somewhere.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I
they
thought
didn't
too. I thought
care.
he was going to be with them. Yeah.
Yeah, but on the second watch, like Mohammed said, I did catch when Rock Talk said,
Yes.
Murph, it's time to go play dress up. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh.
Yeah, I caught that
okay.
part, but I didn't know what they were referencing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just always seemed so strange, that Zero didn't talk the entire time. And I was thinking to myself, well, this is a person who used him as a weapon. And so I was like, that maybe Zero was just, and being held was also like their security blanket, to where I feel like Zero completely was staying quiet for a reason. And so in my mind, that's what I was thinking. Because I was like,
Right.
I was thinking there was something going on, but then I was, seeing the colors inside. I was like, no, that's definitely Zero.
I was
they fooled
wondering
me.
the same.
Yeah.
Like, why is Zero just getting dragged around like a football?
That was the thing.
Just
Yeah, 'cause they were
throwing- they're just
throwing
throwing
Zero.
them?
Like, why can't they just fly
Right.
faster than them?
And then once
But
you
that
find
made
out
sense
the
then, yeah.
answer, you go, oh, they were
Exactly.
giving us hints, and we just
That's the
Smart.
great thing
it.
about the show. They do that within
Yeah.
episodes and across episodes. They're really good about that. I love it.
It's smart. It's smart.
Yeah.
I was saying earlier how much I love that it's a episode about working together and being collaborative, and it was written by the entire staff room. I just think writer's room. I think that's just so cool. It's such a fun little parallel to the episode.
Yeah. That's
Like
great.
not only that, but like it's definitely one of the best like group efforts in all of Star Trek. Like it's so smooth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
Speaking
feel like
of
it
smooth.
like each writer got to put their own little spin on it.
TJ, what did you think about it? I think we missed you.
Oh,
TJ Smooth Jackson.
I did not
Yeah.
like this episode. I
No.
loved it.
False. Yeah, there we go.
I was
We all
blown
had a
away by
moment
this
of-
episode. I was blown away, and when it, I knew it was a part 1, but when it ended, I was like, no, I need to know what's gonna happen. It was great. And the smooth moment I was going to bring up was the uniforms.
Oh,
Yeah.
When they
So
stepped
nice.
out in the uniforms, like I saw Dal looking at his, but I didn't expect everyone to come out in one. And so, like, when he stepped out and when Dala stepped out, I was like, where's Rock Talk? I want to see Rock Talk. And when she stepped out, I was like, yeah. Like,
Yeah, I love how they
literally
each got a
screaming.
moment of stepping up in it.
Yeah. So that was awesome. That was
Because
awesome.
Zero's was
This-
like painted on or like patchworked
Yeah,
on
yeah.
to them. Yeah.
Body paint.
because I was
Yeah.
wondering how that was going to work. Like, how was this uniform going to work? And then it's neat that Janeway, saw them and was like, well, I want to step up too.
Love that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's awesome because the EMH
Right.
didn't have capabilities to like change his outfit, but now
Yeah.
they've like clearly updated their hologram system so that they can do their own clothes.
Was the EMH really not able to? I would bet
No,
that
so like when he was an opera singer in Virtuoso, B'Elanna had to help him with costume changes.
He did when he
Right.
became the emergency
But-
command hologram that one time.
Yeah, I was about to say
Yes.
it changed to the command color when he was
Yep.
when he
That was
became
minor, though, yeah.
emergency command.
Hmm,
But that
interesting.
also wasn't something that he was technically able to control. Janeway
Yeah.
gave him permission to become that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The ECH.
Well, we only have a couple minutes left. Cirroc, what were you saying? Final thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Final thoughts really quickly. One was I thought it was funny when the diviner was like done with Janeway and was like, override the program and get her out of here, basically. And as she was dematerializing, she acted as if it was painful for her. Like, ah!
I know.
I'm like, aren't you all? So I thought that was funny. The pain that she was feeling, supposedly. And the other thing I liked, though, was the kind of opening up that Dal did about his fear of returning back to the place. He's like, it's not the same like it is for you. I've been spending my whole life trying to escape that place, right? And it's a miserable place to me. And now you're asking me to go back to some place we successfully got out of, which is like a 1 in a million just to do. So I felt his pain right there, and I like the way they vocalized that, because that to me is really the lesson for children watching about facing their fears and about not being afraid to confront those things and stand those and look those things directly in the eye. And I think that's the message for kids. It's not just for Gwen, who's facing her father. It's also Dal, who's facing his fear of going back to that place. And then I really like Jankum's speech when he was like, "This is impossible. This is no way it's going to happen."
Oh, yeah.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah. There's no way Jankum Bob will survive this, so let's go.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
co-op Malat in training, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it.
They actually did use the phrase, what was it? Hopeless cause.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I totally would have gone to the Federation and then brought them back, because I felt like those odds might be a little bit more better. But
Right.
it's
And
nice.
we want to
it was
see the
commendable
Federation.
that they're brave. Yeah.
They don't know the Federation yet, right? So I mean,
You don't,
risk.
but you could send a message too at
Buoy?
the same time. You could
Yes.
you
Oh,
could
buoy.
go there and then send a message at the same time. So I do both.
Right.
Actually.
That's smart.
Good
That's a
point.
really
And when
good
you
idea.
think about it, Anne-Marie, technically they did send Starfleet because they came as Starfleet. Ah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Fair
it's
point.
not just cosplay.
And they
Oh,
brought
there's
Janeway
levels.
along, so
Yeah.
she's Starfleet.
Oh my gosh, so good.
All right. Well, we better run. That's our time. Before we go, once again, everybody remember that none of this would be possible without Homer Freezy out somewhere in New Yeezy. So thank you. And by the way, that nickname was given to him by TJ Jackson-Bey. So thanks so much, Homer. Everybody at home, if you find him floating around in a Facebook Star Trek group or on Twitter, tell him thank you. And his real name is Frizzell, by the way. You'll be like, they're Googling their Freezy. Can't find a
Homer
Freezy.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Mm,
It continues to be.
excellent.
You look
Yeah,
you look like you're about to do a co-op mission on the bridge.
Yes.
You're about to like
Yeah,
it looks
he's
like
in-
you're, section 31 or something about
Chain
to,
of command. Chain of command.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've got something going down at 2000. So I've got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. And I have my
That's
quiet
right.
shoes on. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Quiet shoes. Yeah.
Can't let them hear you coming.
He's going to keep practicing in those caves in the holodeck till he gets it right.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
You can do it.
Step
We
over the
believe.
twig. Mhm.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us, and everybody at home. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. And until then, always remember the 7th rule.